Genesis chapter 3, verse 18. In the prior verse, we saw the start of God's curse that he's placing upon the land, the gay here, and now we're going to continue with God's words. Acanthus kai tribalus anatele soi, kai phage ton korton tu agru. Well, let's begin with this pair of nouns here. Acanthus is the accusative plural of the word for thorn. And then tribalus here is also accusative plural for thistle. Could also be a briar, some plant that produces briar. And it's plural, and it's accusative, so that's what's being acted upon by the verb. What's the verb here? It's anatele. This is from anatello, which means, in this case, with agricultural type stuff in view, cause to spring up, something along those lines. And you'll see an EI ending, so this is third singular. You see it's dropped an L, and you also see that there's a circumflex here. That may remind you this is essentially a fake epsilon contract because this is a liquid with the lambda here. So this is actually a future active indicative. Now it's third singular, so who's the subject? It's not expressed in this particular verse. It actually goes back to the earth here. So the earth will cause to spring up thorns and thistles for you, that is, for the man Adam. And then we go on, what's going to happen to Adam. Phage here is from estheo, and another spelling change. We've seen this numerous times. This is a second singular future middle indicative. And you will eat ton chorton, that's grain or grass. And then of the agru here, that's of the field. So you will eat the grain or grass of the field, even amid the thorns and thistles that are being sprung forth by the earth. I want to make two further comments on this. This verse here is pretty clearly alluded to, is not directly cited, surprisingly, because Hebrews cites a lot of things, in Hebrews 6, 7 through 8. And the context is quite interesting in this particular pair of verses. For land that has drunk the rain that often falls on it, talking in part about the providence of God for all of his creation, and produces a crop useful to those for whose sake is cultivated, receives a blessing from God. But if it bears thorns and thistles, notice it's the exact same form, acanthus kai tribalus here, exactly what we see in Genesis 3:18. It is worthless and near to being cursed, and the word there is kataras, which is probably a callback to Genesis 3:17. It just has the epi on it. You see kataratas here. There's most likely a connection there. So the curse upon the ground continues and is reflected upon in Hebrews 6 with respect to how God blesses the productivity of the earth, but whenever it produces thorns and thistles, that is a reflection of the Edenic curse here that is pronounced upon the ground. Now, we could go one step further, and some commentators will do this. The acantha here is the word that is used for the crown of thorns for Jesus. You see that this is just one example from Matthew. They twisted together a crown of thorns, a canthone there, they put on his head and knelt before him and mocked him and so forth. So a lot of Gospels commentators will make that connection that in a sense the soldiers are reenacting this Genesis 3:18 curse by playing it out even further and applying it to Jesus. Some debate that. It is just one word. And it's not like acantha here is that rare of a word. It's just the normal word for thorns. But something to think about as to whether this scene of the mockery of Jesus right before his crucifixion and the crown of acantha is some sort of echo back to Genesis. And so I'll leave that for you to reflect on.